Hey, IMC. Here is your slides on Here are your slides. Sorry, English. Woo. Here are your slides on brand personality that we discussed this morning in our meeting. So these will help you with your brand personality worksheet and your brand wheel, but more importantly, read all of the instructions and the linked information within that assignment, and I think you will knock it out of the park. I have no fear that you guys will be able to take care of this without any problem whatsoever. So without further ado, brand personality slides, and we will make all of this super awesome, great, and wonderful. All right, well, it would have helped if I'd opened it in Google Slides first. So hold please, as I wait for my internet to participate. Fantastic. All right, the big piece here is crafting your brand personality. And hopefully by now, if you are stuck and you are watching this, or you're just all ahead of the game, you've had a chance to read the Adweek article about why it's important to understand your brand personality and know who you are as a brand. It really helps you make better decisions as far as what kind of tactics you should employ, what messages you should use, and how you should reach out to those elusive target audiences that you guys found last assignment. So crafting your brand personality. The biggest question is, how do you want your target audience to perceive you? What are the words that you want your average Joe consumer to think of when they think of your company? So for example, if I throw some company names out at you, let's say, for example, I say Starbucks. What, like, one word answers, what words come to mind? Coffee, clearly. Maybe some other things come to mind. So I want you to think about that. Let's go with the next one. Walmart. What one words come to mind to you? Just throw them out. And then let's go Target. Okay, so the next one is British Petroleum, or BP. All right, and then let's go with Facebook. All right, so all of these brands have a perception, right? So we all have words that we would use to describe these brands that aren't necessarily provided to us by those brands, right? Oftentimes it is by our experience and by things that have happened to us with that brand. So the question you have to ask is, how do you want your brand to be perceived? What is the one word that you want people to come up with when they think of your brand name? So that's very important. You have to decide, what are your values? What are the things that you stand upon? Are you fantastic at meeting customer expectations? Are you part of the entrepreneurial spirit? Dedicated, honesty, productivity, always knowledgeable, maximum value for the effort given. You know, Deadpool it, maximum effort, except for maximum value. Positive, trustworthy, outstanding. Any of these things, these are all really great words to be used when you're thinking about what are your values, but it might not just be one, right? You might meet a few of these. So think about it. If you're thinking about all of your possible values, adaptable, passionate, right? All of these things could describe what you as a company hold as valuable. And if people were to think about you, which of these items would they think really underscore who you are as a company? All right, and then your personality profile. How would you describe your company? So this is as easy as a checkbox, right? Are you adventurous? Are you logical? Are you flashy or flirtatious? I don't know that any of your companies are flirtatious. Enthusiastic, maybe exuberant, creative. A couple of you would fall under there. Talented, sarcastic. I don't know about that. Patriotic, nurturing, snobby, hopefully. I don't know that necessarily you want that on your personality profile, unless, of course, you are advertising to a specific elite. But look at this big, giant list, and you can, if there are words that you maybe would add to this list, by all means, write in your own. It is not limited to this list. So check all those that apply, narrow it down to your top few, and there you have some things that describe your brand personality. And then, what do you sound like? If your company had a voice, what would it sound like? So for like Chewbacca, for example, we feel like that if he had a human voice, he would sound like Robert Loggia. If you do not know who that is, look up Robert Loggia on YouTube. You're welcome. We have yet to decide what Sadie's voice sounds like, but it's the same thing with your company. What tone would you use and why? So for example, would you have a reassuring tone? Would you be funny? You know, that's the box that Wendy's and Taco Bell check with their social media tone. Any of these things, would you be excited? Would you be surprised? What is your tone of voice? What would your company sound like if it had a voice? Again, if you have words here that you would add that maybe aren't necessarily on this list, by all means add them. I would love to hear your additional insight into potential tone words. Okay, here's a game I want you to play. All right, imagine your brand is a person who just showed up at an industry party full of your ideal customers, so your target market and your competitors. Describe what your brand is like. What are they like as a person? What is he or she wearing? How does he or she approach people? And what does he or she say? So think about that. All right, so that's a fun little exercise to do. So you can pause here and think about that. Now, go ahead and say, imagine that your brand snuck off to the bar and downed a few Long Island iced teas. I don't know why that's the drink of choice, but it's the drink I'm going with. Then he or she comes back to the party a little bit buzzed and a little bit less of a filter. How differently does your brand act? Are they funnier? Do they talk louder? Are they more confrontational? Do they approach customers and competitors more easily now? So I want you to take a minute, pause here, and think about that for a minute. Okay, so I'd be curious to hear what your differences were and how maybe your brand changed. Some of you guys, it would be interesting, especially the brands that have to do with very service oriented. So your Equessential and your Amaya Realty, those would be entertaining to see how that might work out. But yes, so that's always a good exercise to kind of think about, well, really, who are we as a brand and what would we be like, to kind of personify it a little bit. Humanize your brand. All right, so now we're gonna go on to the big brand redux. All right, I want you to think of a famous brand that you admire, preferably not one that is associated to the brand that you guys are working on for your project. Celebrity, sports franchise, smartphone, computer, whatever, any brand. So think of your brand. Okay, so you've got your brand. Now I want you to think that that famous brand took over the client that you were working for as, or the company that you're working for your client project. All right, so they took them over. Now I want you to write down 3 changes that your favorite brand might make to your client's brand. For example, Apple might streamline and revamp your packaging. Google would fix your website and simplify your user experience online. Zappos might make things more fun for your customer support experience. Wendy's might add a little humor to your social media feed. So think about that. What's your favorite brand? What 3 changes might that brand do if they took over your client's brand? All right, I'll be curious to, when we discuss again, kind of how that went down. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. All right, so those are some really good exercises to really put yourself in the brain space to work on this assignment. So what I want you to do is take this information and start working through your brand personality worksheet together as a team, okay? So you'll work on that worksheet together, and then you will go ahead and create, you'll turn that in, and then you will also create your brand wheel and turn that in as well. So it can be a single page with your brand wheel on it. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of description, but you can follow the links on the assignment to get more information about how to go about creating your brand wheel. Again, I cannot wait to see what personalities you have decided on for your brands and where we're going. So this should be a lot of fun. This should be a fun assignment. A bit of a breather from our very research heavy, very strict by the book assignments. So I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.